Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chant Day. I hope everyone is having a blessed Monday. We are we're at the Labor Day, as they call it, holiday. September 2nd, I shout out to Mona and to Dana. Both of them are sharing the birthday today. Shout out to Dana. Mona, rest in love as we remember you today. So today is a special day as people are off on this Labor Day holiday. We're also celebrating birthdays. So shout out to everyone who's making birthday in September. This is the month of September. It's the month of Mascaram in the Ethiopian calendar. And we are ready to chant a psalm. Let's get ready to chant a psalm a day. Come with me. Today's psalm is 94. Psalm 94. And Psalm 94 is titled that righteousness will not forsake righteous people. So if you're feeling forsaken, it's something that you need to look at within yourself that needs to be addressed. So you will not feel that way. Okay. So as we get into the psalm today, Psalm 94, let's take a look at it, shall we? So Psalm 94 is titled, Righteousness Will Not Forsake Righteous People. So it's better to stay on the side of righteousness no matter what the results you think may happen when you tell people the truth. When you tell people the truth, sometimes and oftentimes the truth may hurt and people may react to the truth in an emotional way that may not be emotional intelligence. So you want to remember that you're going to be okay once you tell the truth. So the righteousness is the one that is of vengeance. Okay, that is who is going to react in a vengeance, not you. You need to stay out of it. Keep your goodness and mercy and righteousness, because vengeance of the Most High is going to shine forth. Rise up, O judge of the earth. So I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, what is good, kind, mercy, and love. So I ask that these words that I translate and the meditation that's in my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, what is good, kind, and mercy. So we see in verse 2 that there's a rise up of the judge of the earth that will judge the earth and repay the proud for what the proud deserve. So that is what is going to do that. We are not to engage in vengeance or want to hurt someone because they hurt us. We have to stay in our loving space. We have to make space for that and nothing else. Make space for that kindness and mercy and love and honor and respect. So in verse 3, there's a question: how long will the wicked exalt? How long will the wicked, be conquering over the righteous? How long? So, and then there's no answer to the question, but then there's a statement of the wicked are pouring out arrogant words, and all the evildoers boast. So, arrogant words, boasting words, these are being poured out by the wicked. So you will know and discern who the wicked is when you hear arrogant words being poured out. And these words are crushing the people of righteousness and afflicting the people of righteousness's heritage. So, and then in verse 6, it talks about destroying the widow. This is what the wicked does: destroys the widow and the sojourner, and murdering the fatherless, and speaking that God doesn't see and doesn't perceive. So in verse 1 all the way to 7, we see, there's a rise up of the judge of the earth, and there is this almighty of vengeance that is coming from a righteousness. It cannot come from a wrong place. It has to come from a good place, so that good, because good is always going to conquer evil. That's just the law of nature. And the description of what the wicked is going to be doing is sad. The widows, the ones who are sojourning and traveling, and the fatherless, those who are without an earthly father, they're murdering these folks. So we see this is happening in our world today, with hostages being taken and then being killed. And these people that are doing the killing and the murdering, as we are reading in the scripture, Psalm 94, that they don't perceive. They feel that there is no one seeing them, and there's no accountability for their actions. And that, to me, is wrong on all levels. Wrong on all levels. So in verse 8 talks about standing firm in that righteousness, even the dullest of the people, and even the fools. When will the fools be wise, is the question. Because righteousness is the one that planted the air. Does righteousness not listen? Righteousness formed the eyes. Does righteousness not see? Righteousness disciplines the nations. Does righteousness not rebuke? Righteousness is the one that teaches knowledge to humans, to humanity. Righteousness knows the thoughts of man, that thoughts of man and thoughts of humanity are just a breath, because it's not an immortal life. You are a mortal, and you are going to have to leave this life, this body, this world, on to the next. So in that knowledge, we have the realization that we don't have any time left. Time is shorter and shorter and shorter, meaning that it's time now to get on the righteous path. It's time now to rebuke the devil. It's time now to turn away from things that are not good. It's time to now do that. We have no time remaining for that. We have to Soradokna, do good. So humanity is just a breath. And verse 12 talks about the one who is blessed will be disciplined, O righteousness, and the one that is being taught out of the righteous law to give that one rest in from the days of trouble until a pit is dug for the wicked. So the righteous will have rest from days of trouble, okay? And righteousness will not forsake righteous people and will not abandon the heritage of righteousness. For justice will return to the righteous, and all the upright in their heart will follow this righteousness. The righteousness, the righteous one. So, who rises up for I and I against the wicked? Who's going to do that? Okay? That's how you know when someone is for you, when they can stand up against someone or something or some entity that is not good. Okay? When righteousness was not a strength, I and I life would have soon lived in the land of silence, meaning that without righteousness, without goodness of the Lord, I wouldn't be around. My life would be in silence. It wouldn't have nothing to speak of. Verse 18, when I thought, oh, my heart is broken, my foot is slipping, the steadfast love of the Lord strengthen I and I up. So it's not, it's holding I and I up, holding I and I up, not keeping I and I down, not taking, not destroying, but giving. And the steadfast love, I always mention when we do the psalm that the steadfast love of the Most High is ever present, help in times of trouble. So that steadfast love, held I and I up because the cares of I and I heart were many. You're caring so much for so many and so many causes that you want share in your life. You want happiness. You want that, and you're going to grab onto that because I don't want to use the word consolation, but it's like a prize. It's the comfort received by a person after a loss or disappointment. So when folks disappoint you, or when you have when a loss has happened in your life, that's both of those have happened to me. I'm disappointed in someone that I care about, love. And then my dad passed. So in the psalm today, the Most High righteousness is the one that shares I and I life, shares I and I life when the cares of I and I heart are so many, right? Verse 20. Can people who are wicked, can they rule? Can these wicked rulers be your friends? Those that create an injustice through laws? Can they be your friends? Can you be allied with ones that are wicked rulers? Right? This is a question, verse 20, Psalm 94, people need to ask when they're voting. Can wicked rulers be allied with you, those who frame injustice by statutes, meaning by the laws that they create? Can you be friends with these folks? These folks band together against the life of the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. So we see that these rulers are putting people away that are innocent, okay? Innocent. And they're doing it through a deadly, fatal means. However, in verse 22, righteousness has become I stronghold. And I righteousness is the rock of I safety. So we have righteousness is the rock that reigns on, righteousness rocks. So that's a good shirt right there. Righteousness rocks. And will bring on folks' own inequity and wipe out of one's wickedness, for righteousness will wipe them out completely. Because righteousness is the only tool in the toolbox that is going to release and free and make your heart cheerful, right? Because you have so many things in your heart that you're dealing with. And only righteousness is going to cheer your life. Another human being may not. And you may be unhappy with someone, disappointed in someone. However, once that leaves, you still have that righteousness, that goodness that is prevailing, and that is going to be the one that is going to cheer your life and is cheering for your life and will be cheering in your life. And that happiness and that good place of love will always be created, because it can't be destroyed. You may not have a person or your soulmate or your partner with you. However, you still have that love of that partner, that soulmate, that person. That love will not be extinguished. It is very distinguishable. And people see it. They're either jealous of it or they love to see it. But it's something that you can hold, especially when there's a loss in your life of someone that you no longer are able to touch or hold or be with. Selah and Selah again. Here ends the psalm for today, Psalm 94, 23 verses, and it's titled, Righteousness Will Not Forsake Righteous People. And it's beautiful because we see in summary of this psalm that with all the things that are going on and all the wickedness that are being strewn upon I, and the deceit and the murders and the, all these violence is going to manifest itself. That's going to happen. We're going to have these things. However, we have an advocate. We have an advocate that teaches, that disciplines, and we are blessed when we are disciplined. When righteousness disciplines us, we may not like it. It may be sad for us, but guess what? We are disciplined. And that teaching is coming out of our righteous laws. The laws of righteousness is what teaches and what disciplines. And blessed is the one who listens to that. When you find yourself alone, it's that time that you need to commune with righteousness. It's that time you need to discover yourself within that space and making space for yourself within that righteousness, that goodness, that mercy, that love, that compassion, that forgiveness, and the long suffering. You may have to suffer long. You may have to suffer 3 months without the love of your life, but that should not push you to somebody else's bed or somebody else's arms. It shouldn't. It should keep you speaking of that love that you have for that person, that it's not going, you're going to fight for it, right? You're going to fight for that love, just as there was a fight for the love that was given to humanity. That fight was won, and righteousness won that fight. So because that fight was won by righteousness, by a sacrifice, we too have to do that. We too have to sacrifice. We too have to give of things that we may want and put that on the side for things that we need now, so that later we could receive in abundance the goodness of the Lord. So I am grateful for this psalm. I'm grateful for the word today, that's rest, making time for rest. My son asked me, why is Labor Day? What do they celebrate for Labor Day? Because my children grew up where we did not celebrate these worldly pauses of time to, ritualize a world that is not inclusive of I and I, but it's an illusion of inclusion, in terms of we're eluded to believe we're included when we're just human batteries running a system that we are consuming, and oftentimes we're not the producers of. So it's a labor. Labor is work, okay? Labor is time you're giving to someone else to give them the benefit of the increase. And the little bit is thrown out to you for participating in that increase for someone else. So that's why I tell my students it's important for you to own your own payroll, own your own business, have people on your payroll that you pay, get their names on there, and this is what they get every month. And this is the job that they do to help increase your sales and your business bottom line. So making time for rest rejuvenates you to do this, rejuvenates I, rather. So rest brings balance and harmony. That's the word today, rest. Rest brings balance and harmony to life. I remember rest brings balance and harmony to life when I am tempted to think I don't have time to step away and take an easy time for a while. Much of life's sweetness is lived in its restful interludes, the spaces between the big events and milestones, when I have time to let myself simply be. Whether I spend time alone or in the company of friends and family, my relaxed, unscheduled time softens the edges of life and reminds I there is so much more to living than my obligations and goals. I also feel the presence of righteousness strongly during periods of rest, when I mind has a chance to settle and be free of distractions. In the space, remember I said we have to create space for that to happen. So in the space, I perceive the divine as anew, the presence and power that is always mine to express. So this word today, rest, is taken from Psalm 55, verse 6. And I speak, oh, that I had wings as a dove, I would fly away and be at rest. Psalm 55, verse 6. Now, this is very important when we're looking at the psalm today, because the Psalm today, 94, looks at this rest, rejuvenation of this rest, and the space of righteousness, creating this space in especially, okay, especially when we are faced with loss, when we're faced with disappointment, okay? We may be faced with disappointment, we may be faced with loss. However, we have an advocate that is righteousness, goodness, mercy, and love that resonates from such time ago that that righteousness is not forsaken. It's not something that is going to be, ending. It's always going to be. It's not going to be forsaken. It's going to be taken up, held up. Okay, you're going to be held up in that righteousness and mercy. So I love that the Psalm today gives a good interpretation of what it means, what righteousness means, and how you're going to be, you're going to be in certain situations that may not be good. And I ask this for everyone out there who may be in a relationship or may be torn in their relationship to stay and work it out, and always remember that righteousness is going to prevail, whether you prevail with it or not. And revelation time is here. Things are going to be revealed. They're going to be revealed, and they're going to be shown. It's up to you now whether you're going to see it or you're going to hear it. You're going to listen to it. Because in verse 9, it talks about righteousness put the heirs there. Isn't righteousness going to listen to what you're talking about to someone? Yes. Righteousness form the eye. You're going to see. Righteousness is going to see you. It's going to see whatever it is that is righteous, and whatever else is not is going to be cast out. So September 2nd, today, it's about the awareness of forgiveness. And I'm feeling in this way that I have to be in that space. I have to create that space of forgiveness because of the disappointment and the hurt that I feel at 10 to 6 when the person that I love is with someone else. So forgiveness, I forgive them. I forgive them for the hurt that they've caused me. They may not have intended to do that, but it's real. So forgiveness. Lord, you are kind and forgiving and have great love for those who call to you. So this awareness of forgiveness is important because it gives a sense of letting go. Yeah, it gives a sense of I'm free. It gives a sense of I'm going to be compassionate. It gives a sense of I'm going to have mercy. Because as the Psalm talks about, vengeance belongs to the Most High. And vengeance will shine forth. It will. You don't have to put your hands into anything wrong. You send love to everyone. I'm telling you, that's the way you need to go. And Max Lucado, in Walking with the Savior for September 2nd, talks about this awareness of forgiveness. And he quotes the Psalm. I have a tear in my eye. He quotes the Psalm. He quotes Psalm, what is this? Psalm 18? No, Psalm 86, verse 5. Psalm 86. Yeah. For you, O Lord, are good and forgiving, abounding in steadfast love to all who call upon you. So that is Max Lucado's verse for today. And it's from Psalm 86. Great is your steadfast love. So that steadfast love is what is keeping, is what's keeping me. So it's never too late to get a second chance with God. It's never too late. Think about Paul. He had been a murderer and a blasphemer. He had to look into the faces of people whose fathers he had persecuted, whose children he had killed. He could have spent his life looking at yesterday, but he didn't do that. He started life over again in the awareness of forgiveness. So I may feel bad for a loss. I may feel bad for a breakup, because you are part of that breakup. And I may feel guilty that I didn't do something in the relationship. However, we have to know that forgiveness is real, and we have to forgive ourselves. We have to know that we are forgiven. And even though we may do something to ourselves that wasn't good, or to someone else that wasn't good, we have forgiveness through the one that was sacrificed. Okay? We have forgiveness. And that forgiveness is is explained in Psalm 86, verse 5. Psalm 86, verse 5. For righteousness is good and forgiving. That's why I call God righteousness, mercy, love, forgiveness, because that is what that is. God is forgiving. God is good. God is love. God is mercy. God is compassion. That's what God is, all of that. So that all of that abounds in steadfast love. It's this entity of love that's so steadfast and so on time that it releases I from the pain of loss, from the pain of grief, from the pain of hurt and disappointment. It relieves that. And people want to know why I look so happy and I'm going through these things. It's because of the steadfast love of righteousness that keeps and saves and gives so much. It's just an abundance of goodness that is so hard to explain, but so simple to live. It's hard to explain. It's hard for some people to wrap their brains around, giving themselves to a higher power than themselves and being selfless, not being selfish, not wanting for themselves, instead wanting for others. And when they want for others, then they will have for themselves. But when you want for yourself, your hand is like this and you just want for yourself, it's not open to receive. And this is sometimes difficult for people. And I'm sending all the abounding abundance of goodness and love to everyone that has disappointed me, hurt me, made me cry, left me when I needed them the most. I send love, kindness, mercy, and forgiveness. The knowledge of God results in a love of God. Knowing more about what God is allows and is that there is a result, an outcome that is in love with righteousness. You're in love with goodness to the point that you may love someone, but you have to walk away from them because they're not listening or they're not seeing the righteousness that you see. So you love righteousness so much more that you walk away, even though you may be alone and you may not be with that person to experience their love and their goodness for those times that they show it to you. And other times they're selfish and they're about themselves. They're about, taking from you to satisfy themselves, but never giving to you in the same way. So in the book of Hosea, Hosea is reconciling with his wife. And the Lord said to Hosea, "Go show your love to your wife again, though she is loved by another person. Love your wife as the Lord loves. Though your wife turn to another person and love that person." So I brought your wife for 15. I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and about a homer and a lethek or barley. Then I told her, "You are to live with me many days. You must not be a prostitute or be intimate with someone else, and I will behave the same way toward you. For you will live many days without a ruler, without sacrifice or sacred stones, without ephod or household things. Afterward, you will return and seek the Lord, King David. They will come trembling the Lord, to the Lord's bless in the final days." So this is going to happen, okay? In these days, you're going to see adulterers. You're going to see people going off with other people. This is going to happen. So a people without standing firm in righteousness is going to come to ruin. And all I'm reading here or looking here in Hosea is a flesh. And they're going off into their flesh because they have deserted the Lord to give themselves to sex, alcohol. Their standing firm is going to be taken away. They will eat but not have enough, and they will engage in these fornications, They're consulting wooden idols, um, these pendulums or things people are um, devoting themselves to. They're that not devoting, but they're asking these things questions. They're consulting, and con is a lie. So it's a lie. Um, so in Hosea, we see there's a judgment against these folks that go astray. They're unfaithful to the Lord. They give birth to illegitimate children when they celebrate their new moon feasts. The new moon is today, actually. Sound the trumpet. Um, and we see, you know, this unfaithfulness. There's this unfaithfulness, and people, this is what happens. It happened to me. Okay, it happened to me, and it happened to me in terms of crushing. um but I move forward in this journey as I sojourn, um and I give thanks. So let's recap as we look at the Psalm 94 today. The righteousness will not forsake righteous people. No, righteousness will not forsake righteous people. And the word today, we also have the verse. Let's see. Yep, the verse today just came in. And it's from Psalms 119, verse 64. The earth is filled with love. Teach I these laws, these righteous laws. So that's what I ask. I ask to be taught righteousness, to be taught the laws of righteousness. And in those teachings, we have a future. The result is an outcome of abundance, of goodness. So the earth is filled with righteousness, is love. Teach I the decrees of righteousness. So as we ask, we shall receive. And when we receive, we have to give. When we give, we have to be in a space of compassion, mercy, and forgiveness. So forgiveness is something that I'm creating that space for right now, for forgiveness. Because when you are hurt, it's hard to forgive a person that hurt you, but you have to stay in that righteousness, in that space, and be forgiving, because the earth is filled with the love of righteousness. The earth is filled with compassion, with mercy. This is what the earth is filled with, and you're asking to be taught these decrees. So when we look at the word decrees, it's like degrees, right? It's an official order issued by a legal authority. So you have to make righteousness a legal authority in your life. That is your authority in your life, is righteousness. Yes, we have the police, there are legal authority. We have, these powers and principalities out here that are, nefarious in oftentimes, not all of them. And when we look at righteousness and mercy, we have to go after it, and we have to go after it to the point where we look at it as this authority in our lives, that we're not going to be deceitful. We're not going to be, hurting people out here. We're going to know that righteousness has authority over our decisions and how we live. And when someone is not being truthful and forthright or honest or have integrity or holding up righteousness, you need to be a big example to them of that. That needs to happen. So when we look at righteousness and we look at mercy and love and kindness, we oftentimes have to remember that whenever we come into ourselves and the knowledge of ourselves, that is time that we tap into that righteousness. We tap in there. So the verse today really kicks off with the word today, rest, and resting in righteousness. So I like that. We have righteousness rocks. We have resting in righteousness. Those are shirts I'm going to have made and created. Righteousness rocks, because you know that righteousness is the stone that the builder refused. They didn't want that, but that is becoming the head of the cornerstone. Righteousness is becoming the head, okay? And that head is that legal authority as described in Psalm 119, verse 64. The earth is filled with righteousness is love. And you're asking to teach I and I that righteousness. Teach I and I the decrees of righteousness, this legal authority of righteousness. So I'm thankful for the psalm today, honestly. Thank you so much for joining Chant a Psalm a Day. Have a blessed day, everyone. Have a blessed day. Chant a Psalm a day, every day. Have a blessed day. Healing powers, healing. Healing. Have a blessed day.